Chapter 13 Chapter 138 Love Hurt. JJ's POV. And quat, how's Mayo, and quat, Edrix asked me as soon as I stepped out of the clinic. And quat, he's being attended to by the nurse, and quat, TSK. Your punch was strong. Even stronger than Kit's punch to him, and quat, he said, shaking his head. Serves him right. And quat, he made me mad, and quat, I reasoned, but Edrix just laughed at me. I sat down in the waiting area just outside the clinic, and Edrix followed. I didn't feel like going back to the room yet. I was sure the guys would bombard me with questions. And quat, what were you and Mayo fighting about? And quat, he asked. And quat, nothing. Just, it's complicated, and quat, I answered, avoiding his gaze. It seemed like Edrix got what I meant because he didn't push the topic further and just stayed silent. I heard his phone buzz. He took it out, and I immediately saw Freya's face as his wallpaper. Haste. Kiko's words echoed in my head. And quat, she has a new boyfriend again, and quat, Edrix said, showing me his phone. It was a Facebook post from Freya, posing with a handsome guy. The caption read, and quat, my new love once. And quat, nice. And quat, this is my dream, and quat, Edrix murmured. And quat, for her to post our picture and shout to the world that I'm the one she truly loves, and quat. I could feel the pain and struggle in his voice. How long had he been hiding his feelings for Freya? And quat, have you ever tried approaching her? And quat, I asked. He immediately shook his head while staring at his phone. And quat, I can't. She hates people from Section E, remember? And quat, oh, right. And it seemed like her hatred only grew when I arrived and ended up clashing with her. And quat, if only I could help you with her, but we're enemies, and quat, I said, forcing a smile. He did the same. Not that I would have helped him if we weren't enemies. I still didn't know the full story of what happened between Freya, Yuri, and Kiefer. And quat, falling in love is hard, huh? And quat, a voice suddenly spoke. Edrix and I immediately turned toward the clinic door. Mayo stood there, holding a tissue and an ice bag. He sat down beside me. Now I was stuck between the two of them. And quat, hey, your punch really hurt. And quat, Mayo said to me. And quat, that's your fault. You pissed me off. And quat, I snapped back. He chuckled softly. Edrix and I exchanged glances. Was Mayo losing it? Or did my punch rattle his brain? And quat, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. You're different from Ella, you two aren't the same. And quat, he said, smiling at me. I'm different from her. And quat, I just got carried away by my anger. And quat, he added. And quat, sorry too for punching you. And quat, I said, smiling back at him. And quat, all right, you two have made up. And quat, Edrix said, standing up. And quat, let's go back to class. And quat, Mayo checked the time on his phone. I glanced at it too. We had been sitting here for quite a while. And quat, we won't make it in time. Let's just go in for the next subject. And quat, he suggested. Yeah, it would be awkward to go back now anyway. Besides, I was still feeling lazy. Edrix slumped back into his seat. And quat, all right, later then. And quat, who were you and Edrix talking about? And quat, Mayo asked. And quat, chicks. And quat, I answered. Edric's immediately shot me a glare. And quat. Edric's girl, and quat. I corrected. And quat. His girlfriend, and quat. Mayo asked. And quat. No, and quat. Edric's answered. And quat. He's dreaming of her, and quat. I added. Edric's glared at me again, but I just laughed at him. And quat. Have you told her yet, and quat? Mayo asked. Edric's shook his head and looked down. And quat. I don't even know if she notices me or if she even knows I exist, and quat. And quat. You're just admiring from afar, and quat. And quat. Something like that, and quat. And quat. At least you're like that. In my case, he knows I love him, but he avoids me, and quat, Mayo said as he pressed an ice bag to his face. And quat. That does sound worse, and quat. I kept glancing between them. It was nice listening to their conversation. Simple and straightforward, no pretenses. I leaned back and sighed. And quat. Falling in love is hard, and quat. Mayo and Edric's both turned to look at me. And quat. You're the one struggling. When there are two people who like you, and quat. Edric's said, making me grimace at him. And quat. You have Yuri, and you also have Kiefer, and quat. Mayo added. What? Hold on. And quat. Maybe she likes someone else, someone who's not either of them, and quat. Edric's teased. And quat. Maybe? Who is it then? Tell us, and quat. Mayo pushed. What the? And quat. Kiefer's going to get mad at you, and quat. Edric's teased more. And quat. Poor Yuri. Heartbroken again, and quat. Mayo chimed in. And quat. Shut up, you two, and quat. I shouted at them. And quat. You're saying too much. I just joined in on your drama, and quat. So annoying, and quat. But seriously, you don't like either of them, and quat. Edric's asked. Again, and quat. It's not like that, and quat. And quat. You can't choose, and quat. Mayo asked. I looked down and bit my lower lip. I hate these kind of questions. These two were obviously waiting for my answer, but I remained silent. And quat. If I were you, I'd go with Yuri, and quat. Mayo suddenly said, making us all look at him. And quat. Why Yuri, and quat. Edric's asked. And quat. Kiefer doesn't count. The problem with him is he's selfish when it comes to girls. Even though Yuri is the only friend he has left, he still took someone away from him, and quat. Mayo explained. It felt strange. The way Cian talked about Yuri before was exactly how Mayo was talking about Kiefer now. Yuri once mentioned that Kiefer was selfish when it came to girls. Now, with two people saying it and me experiencing it firsthand, it still felt hard to believe. And quat. Took someone away. Who did Kiefer take from? Yuri, and quat. Edric's asked. And quat. Ella. Of course. Yuri was supposed to be the one she chose, but Kiefer staked his claim, so she ended up with him instead. And quat. Yuri was supposed to be the one. But Yuri told me Ella never really loved him. So how could he have been the one she wanted to choose? And quat. How was Yuri supposed to be the one? And quat. I asked. And quat. I don't know. But Ella said Yuri was the one she really wanted, and quat. Mayo answered. Why was it like this? I suddenly felt confused. I was about to ask Mayo more when I saw Rakki approaching us. She looked thinner and more stressed compared to the last time we saw each other. and quat. Hello, Rakki, and quat. I greeted him, and quat. Hi. Why are you guys here? Don't you have class, and quat, he asked. And quat. It's their fault, and quat. They both said in unison while pointing at me. And quat. Him, and quat. And quat. Ha ha ha. You probably just cut class and dragged JJ along with you, and quat. Rakki teased them. And quat. No way. It's really JJ's fault, and quat, Mayo said, pointing at his nose. And quat. That's karma, and quat. Rakki said, then turned to me. And quat. By the way, how's Cian? I heard he's staying with you now. And quat. Yeah. Someone misses him. And quat. He'd be fine. If only he knew how to do his laundry and clean up his mess. And quat. I replied. Because I was the one washing his clothes. It was so embarrassing for me. That feeling when I wasn't even the one doing my own laundry, yet I was the one washing his clothes. Lazy. And quat. Don't expect anything from him. He won't even get water himself. He'll ask someone else to do it, and quat, Rakki said. He's like that with us too. It makes me want to flick his forehead. Probably because he's a rich kid and the youngest child. No one ever goes against him since his parents are always away. Except for his crazy older brother. And quat. Alright, I'll go ahead. I still need to get this signed by the nurse, and quat. He waved the paper in her hand. And quat. She looks like she lost weight, and quat. Edrix observed. I thought I was the only one who noticed. And quat. Probably from stress. Her problems keep piling up. And quat. Mayo said. I looked at him in confusion. And quat. Problems, and quat. Mayo glanced briefly at the clinic door before turning back to me. And quat. Ever since Rakki sided with us, Section A has blocked all the benefits meant for her section. Now she's struggling to get them back, and quat, he explained. Poor Rakki. Since he's the president of his section, all the responsibility falls on him. And quat. Don't tell Cian about this. And quat, Edrix suddenly said. And quat. Why not? And quat. And quat. Do you want things to get even worse? And quat, he replied sarcastically. Good point. Who knows what that kid might do? Aside from picking a fight with Section A, he might even go after the guidance counselor and the principal. We kept talking about random things, mostly about our classmates who seemed to have a few screws loose. That's also when I found out that Josh had lost his girlfriend. They weren't sure when it happened, but ever since then, Josh had been acting weird. Meanwhile, Drew had been sneaking off to gamble in an alley near the school. That idiot. He still hasn't paid me back, and now he's at it again. We didn't even notice how much time had passed. And quat. During vacation, we should. And quat. And quat. Ahem. And quat. We all froze at the sound of a fake cough. And quat. We've been waiting and looking for you, and you've been here this whole time. And quat. Oh. Slowly, we turned around. Arms crossed and glaring down at us was the king of the snakes. I forced a smile, but it clearly didn't work. And quat. Get back to class. Now. And quat. He shouted, and we immediately jumped to our feet and ran back to our room. And quat. This is your fault, JJ, and quat. Mayo yelled as we ran. I shot him a glare. And quat. You were the one picking fights, and quat. And quat. Enough. Fight later. Kiefer's coming. We're so dead, and quat.